And for more, we're now joined by Michael Koplow. He's the policy director at the Israel Policy Forum. Also with us is our own Nina Lawson, our senior diplomatic correspondent, joining us from the United Nations, and Dan Raviv, our senior Washington correspondent. Thank you all for being with us. And Michael, I'd like to start with you here in studio. President Trump actually keeping a promise, the same promise made by presidents before him. What is your reaction to the embassy opening today?
I think that it's wonderful to see the embassy open in Jerusalem. Obviously, Jerusalem is Israel's capital, always has been Israel's capital. And recognition of that by the United States is something that should have been done decades ago. And so I certainly congratulate President Trump for keeping that promise. With that, there is a caveat that I think this could have been done in a more productive manner than it was, by not only affirming Jerusalem as the rightful capital of Israel, but making it clear that Jerusalem will also be a future capital for the Palestinians.
And you don't think that message got through?
I think that it's pretty clear based on the way the Palestinians have reacted since President Trump's December 6th announcement that that message certainly has not gotten through. And I also think it's somewhat unclear whether that message was indeed intended by the president on December 6th.
Michael, granted, we've had this violent reaction from the Palestinians, as would have been expected. But one of the major concerns had been reaction from the Arab world, and that was one of the reasons that this decision wasn't enacted, even though Congress had passed it back in 1995. The concern was, how would the rest of the Arab world react? But it does seem as though the reaction has been muted. We have Saudi Arabia condemning the Israeli violence on Gaza, but at the same time in the statement today making no mention of the embassy in Jerusalem. Egyptian media has reportedly been told to sort of play the story down. We have the likes of Bahrain saying just the other day that Israel has the right to defend itself against Iran. What do you make of this shift, if you will, in some of the moderate Arab world?
I think there's no question you are correct about the muted response, and I think it can be attributed to two primary reasons. One is that there is a confluence of interests between Israel and pragmatic Sunni states. They all see a threat from Iran. They all see the benefits of having closer relationships with Israel. And so interests are certainly, I think, muting what reactions that we may have seen in the past from these states. Second, I think that these states are really wary of the Arab Spring, and they are still remembering events of 2011, and they are very reluctant to gin up any type of opposition that may end up blowing back on them.
Do they also see this as something of a divide between the Sunni and Shiite world again, that because Hamas apparently has been getting some funding from Iran, this sort of essentially sets back and sets out the whole divide between Iran and some of the Gulf states like Saudi Arabia?
Yes, absolutely. I think that that divide certainly plays out in terms of the states that support Hamas versus the states that do not. Although I would note that one of Hamas's biggest supporters is Turkey, which is, of course, a Sunni state.
Sure.